For over a decade, Hallmark Channel sweetheart Lacey Chabert has held a special place in the hearts of fans worldwide. With her porcelain smile, gentle voice, and undeniable warmth that seems to radiate off the screen, she's become the unofficial face of holiday romance, starring in over 30 Hallmark movies that promise happy endings, twinkle lights, and tender moments. But in real life, Chabert's greatest love story was far more private, and now, to the shock of fans everywhere, it seems to have quietly come to an end. News recently surfaced that Lacey Chabert and her husband of nearly 10 years, David Nehdar, have ended their marriage. While neither party has made a formal public statement, subtle social media shifts, insider whispers, and the deafening silence around their once-secret love story have sparked an outpouring of surprise, sympathy, and curiosity from fans who never knew much about the man behind the scenes in the first place. The revelation doesn't just close a chapter in Chabert's life, it opens the door to a deeper look at the love story that once was, the reasons fans never saw it unfold publicly, and the grace with which the actress has navigated heartbreak while still embodying the spirit of love on screen. The first shock came nearly 10 years ago, not from a breakup, but from a secret wedding that took even Lacey Chabert's most loyal fans by surprise. In January 2014, the actress casually announced via social media that she had tied the knot over the holidays. "I'm starting off 2014 as a Mrs.," she tweeted. "Over the holidays, my best friend and love of my life, we became husband and wife. #soblist #love. Fans scrambled to learn more. Who was this mystery man? How had she managed to keep such a milestone moment out of the public eye? Was this sudden? Or had she been quietly building a life behind the scenes while lighting up screens across the country? The answer, it seemed, was both. David Nehdar, a name virtually unknown to the public, was revealed to be a businessman, deeply private and entirely uninterested in fame. He and Chabert had reportedly been friends for years before falling in love. Their romance bloomed quietly, without red carpets or magazine spreads. For them, love was a sacred, personal affair, unfolding far from Hollywood's prying lenses. Unlike many celebrity spouses who caught the spotlight, David Nehdar did the opposite. He never attended premieres, never appeared in paparazzi shots, and his name rarely showed up in interviews. For fans accustomed to seeing stars parade their love lives across Instagram and tabloids, Nehdar's absence created an air of mystery. Lacey defended their privacy in multiple interviews, explaining that while she shares much with her audience, some things are best kept sacred. "He's not in the business and really prefers to stay out of the spotlight," she once explained. "It's a choice we made together." That choice, while respected by many, only made their quiet wedding all the more intriguing. Photos were never released to the public, only a few sparse details emerged. The ceremony was described as intimate, with close family and friends in attendance. A few of Chabert's famous friends, including Mean Girls co-star Ali Lata, were reportedly present. But the magic of the day remained largely locked away from public view. In 2016, the couple welcomed their first and only child together, a daughter named Julia. The birth marked another milestone in their life as a family, and again, Lacey maintained a protective distance from publicity. She shared glimpses, tiny toes, back of the head shots, first day of school snaps, but Julia's face was always kept out of the frame. For Chabert, motherhood became a defining role. She balanced her Hallmark film schedule with parenting, often traveling with her daughter in tow and choosing projects that allowed for family time. Interviews with her during these years were peppered with references to how much she loved being a mom. "Being a mother is by far the most important role of my life," she said in a 2021 interview. "It changes everything, the way you love, the way you live." Still, her husband, David, remained a ghost to the public. Fans respected the boundary, but the curiosity never faded. Was their love as sweet behind closed doors as the characters Lacey portrayed on TV? Or was the reality more complicated? It wasn't a scandal that broke the story. It wasn't a messy tabloid expose or a surprise courtroom filing. It was silence, the kind that slowly grows until it becomes deafening. By late 2023, eagle-eyed fans noticed subtle shifts in Chabert's online presence. No mentions of her husband. No anniversary posts. No shared family moments beyond mother-daughter adventures. At first, it seemed like business as usual. After all, David had never been front and center. But then came the subtle signs. Chabert's Instagram began reflecting a woman reinventing herself. She posted more photos from set, engaged more with fans, and leaned into the solo identity she had kept somewhat shielded during her marriage. At a Hallmark event in early 2024, she walked the red carpet alone. While that wasn't unusual, fans noticed a different energy. She looked radiant, yes, but there was something else. A quiet strength. A subtle independence. The spark of someone redefining her life. Though Chabert has not publicly confirmed a divorce, close sources recently revealed that she and David Nehdar have amicably parted ways. The breakup reportedly occurred sometime in mid-2023, and those closest to her say that the couple quietly ended their marriage without animosity or drama. They had a beautiful life together, but ultimately they wanted different things, an insider shared. Lacey is someone who puts her heart fully into everything she does. She did the same with her marriage. But sometimes, even with love, the paths just diverge. The insider added that co-parenting remains a priority and that Julia continues to be the center of both of their lives. When word began to spread, fans expressed a mixture of shock and admiration. Many didn't even know she was married. Others, who had followed her journey closely, were stunned by the quiet ending of what they believed was a fairytale romance. But overwhelmingly, the response was supportive. "She deserves peace and happiness," one fan wrote. "She's always been so graceful and private. Whatever happened, I know she's handling it with strength." Another added, "It breaks my heart a little, but honestly, she's always put her daughter first. I hope this next chapter is even brighter for her." And perhaps most movingly, many women shared how they related to Chabert's experience, falling in love, starting a family, and then having to rebuild when life didn't go as planned. In the months since the news surfaced, Chabert has continued to thrive professionally. She's filming another Hallmark film this summer, and she recently launched a behind-the-scenes podcast where she discusses motherhood, navigating career decisions, and what love means at different stages of life. "I think love evolves," she said in one recent interview. "It doesn't always look the way we thought it would, but it's still beautiful." Fans noted that her tone was reflective but hopeful. There was no bitterness, only gratitude for what was and openness to what might still be. Her social media now celebrates small joys: coffee dates with Julia, script reads at sunrise, quiet walks with her rescue dog, and baking sessions that turn into flower fights. She's not hiding pain, but she's not letting it define her either. Perhaps the biggest takeaway from this quiet, unexpected revelation is that not every ending is a failure. Sometimes, love runs its course. Sometimes, two people change. And in the case of Lacey Chabert and David Nehdar, it seems their story, while no longer romantic, was real, respectful, and rooted in care. "She never pretended to have a perfect life," one longtime fan commented. "That makes me love her even more. Because she's real." And indeed, that's why Lacey Chabert remains beloved. She invites her audience into the warmth of holiday movie magic, but she also reminds us that behind the tinsel and fairy lights, real life happens. And sometimes, real life doesn't wrap up neatly with a kiss under the mistletoe. Sometimes it ends quietly, but with grace. Hallmark Channel star Lacey Chabert, known for her sweet charm and prolific presence in feel-good movies, recently delighted fans with a personal and heartwarming social media moment that quickly captured the internet's affection. On May 17th, Chabert shared a video on Instagram that was as refreshing as it was endearing. The premise was simple. She was cleaning out her closet, and the judge of what stayed and what went wasn't a celebrity stylist or fashion guru, it was her 8-year-old daughter, Julia. In the caption of her post, Chabert wrote, "Cleaning out my closet with my stylist, my 8-year-old daughter," adding a playful note that immediately signaled the joy and lightheartedness fans could expect from the video. What followed was a candid, funny, and surprisingly insightful at-home fashion show that saw Chabert modeling a variety of jackets collected over the years, while her daughter, whose face remained off-camera in keeping with Chabert's long-standing decision to protect her child's privacy, gave her unfiltered feedback. Fans didn't need to see Julia to know she was the star of the show. Her clear voice rang through with confidence, wit, and an unexpectedly sharp eye for style. Lacey explained at the beginning of the video, "We're gonna go through my closet, we're gonna try on some things, and the judge of this, who's gonna make any final decisions on what stays and what goes, is Julia, my 8-year-old. At which point Julia quickly interjected with a correction, 8.5. That tiny moment instantly set the tone for the rest of the video, and fans were enchanted. As the fashion session began, Lacey tried on jackets one by one, some filled with memories, others bought on impulse, and a few rediscovered treasures. The first jacket she showcased had significant sentimental value. It was one she bought over 20 years ago while filming Mean Girls in Toronto. The nostalgia was clear in her voice, and fans listening understood the emotional weight behind that moment. Julia, with her discerning eye, gave it a love it, which pleased her mom immensely. It was one of those rare fashion pieces that held history and still passed the current-day test. But as the jackets kept coming, Julia's critiques grew even more colorful and candid. A Burberry jacket, which Chabert pointed out she scored on an amazing deal, received a mixed verdict. Julia declared it too pizzazz and humorously said it was both a love it and a leave it. Her ability to make these subtle distinctions between flashy and timeless was beyond her years, and viewers couldn't get enough of her honesty. Another jacket, which seemed to strike just the right chord with Julia, received a high honor, love it extra extra extra. Then came a sleek, more fashion-forward piece that Julia immediately deemed too chic for her mom. The judgment sent Lacey into peals of laughter, clearly amused and impressed by her daughter's keen opinions. Julia was respectful, but she didn't hold back. Her reactions were raw and true, and her words, sometimes surprising, often hilarious, were exactly what made the video go viral. One standout moment came when Lacey tried on a particularly colorful and textured jacket. Julia's shocked response? "What in the what?" She followed it up by comparing it to the massive floral art installation at the Bellagio in Las Vegas. The comparison had Lacey doubled over in laughter, and fans online echoed her amusement. One commented, "I'm crying at the bouquet of flowers at the Bellagio. Julia is everything." It wasn't all giggles and pizzazz critiques, though. Julia also had a tender and thoughtful side to her evaluations. A white blazer received her stamp of approval for being not too fancy but not too boring, and she noted that it would be perfect for work or lunch. Her feedback was not just fashionable, it was functional. Fans took notice of Julia's maturity and taste, with one commenter writing, "Julia has great taste, tact, and style. She knows what's popping or not." Another jacket, giving off a strong holiday vibe with red plaid, was met with an enthusiastic, "Of course, keep it." Julia seemed to recognize the seasonal charm, perhaps having seen her mom in similar styles on Hallmark Christmas movie sets. The chemistry between Lacey and her daughter was the heart of the video. Their banter was playful, filled with laughter and mutual respect. Though Julia remained off-screen throughout, her personality shone through clearly. She wasn't shy about giving a high five here and there, and her giggles were just as infectious as her mom's reactions. Lacey was clearly loving every moment, often laughing at Julia's unexpected but deeply observant reactions. The entire video was unscripted, natural, and filled with the kind of authenticity that social media rarely captures these days. No filters, no studio lighting, just a mom, a daughter, and a wardrobe full of memories. Fans immediately flooded the comments with praise and delight. "This was so fun," one fan wrote. "I think Julia's Love It or Leave It needs to be its own show." Another said, "Julia did a great job. You definitely found yourself a great stylist." Some were struck by how much the moment reflected their own experiences as parents. "I do this with my daughter every season. She's even tougher than Julia," someone commented. Others gushed about Lacey's openness. "No glam squad, no pressure, just love and laughter. This is why we love Lacey." Indeed, while many celebrities present highly curated versions of their lives online, Chabert's decision to share such an intimate and unfiltered moment made it all the more special. What made the experience resonate so deeply with fans wasn't just the fashion or even Julia's delightful reviews, it was the feeling of closeness, the honesty of a real mother-daughter relationship captured on screen. Lacey didn't try to be perfect. She laughed at herself, joked about some questionable fashion choices, and let her daughter take the lead. That vulnerability made her feel even more relatable. For longtime fans who grew up watching her on shows like Party of Five and in rom-coms that defined a generation, it was a full-circle moment. The actress they'd once seen as a child star was now a loving mom, giving her own child space to express herself. Beyond the fun of the fashion game, the video highlighted something larger: how small, everyday moments like cleaning out a closet can become cherished memories. In today's fast-paced world, full of heavily curated content, Lacey's post reminded viewers of the joy that can be found in unscripted, spontaneous interactions. It was a celebration of motherhood, humor, and the ability to laugh at ourselves. And it reminded many parents that their children can surprise them in the most beautiful ways if they're just given a little spotlight. Lacey later posted a follow-up story on Instagram, sharing her surprise at how much people loved the video. "I had no idea this would mean so much to so many people," she said. Julia is thrilled that people liked her opinions. That follow-up story only further endeared her to fans, who saw a celebrity who wasn't chasing clout or seeking attention, just sharing joy and family connection. The outpouring of support prompted some fans to call for more. "You need to make this a regular segment," one wrote. "I'd tune in every week for Julia's closet pics." Others envisioned a future Hallmark digital miniseries featuring Julia giving style advice to Hallmark actors or characters. Julia styling the next holiday movie? "I'd watch the heck out of that," someone suggested. Whether or not such a series ever materializes, it's clear that Julia has made a lasting impression. Her humor, taste, and honesty reminded fans of why they love Lacey in the first place, not just for her talent but for her heart. Chabert has always maintained a relatively private life, especially when it comes to her family. She doesn't share photos of her husband or daughter's face, and she rarely gives fans more than a peek into her home life. But in this small, charming video, she let fans into her world just enough to see what matters most to her. Not red carpets or designer brands, but laughter, honesty, and the beautiful chaos of parenthood. In a world saturated with drama, division, and algorithm-chasing content, this simple mother-daughter moment felt like a deep breath. It was proof that the most meaningful stories are often the quiet ones, told in laughter over old jackets between a mother and her daughter far away from the studio lights. Fans may tune into Hallmark movies to see Lacey Chabert fall in love with charming small-town bakers or reunite with childhood sweethearts in the snow, but it's moments like this, unscripted and real, that remind everyone why she's truly America's sweetheart. Whether she's dazzling in a Christmas movie or laughing with her daughter over a jacket that looks like Vegas flower art, Lacey Chabert continues to win hearts, not with glamour but with genuine, heartfelt moments. And in a digital landscape often overrun with filters and fiction, that kind of authenticity is not just refreshing, it's rare. For more than 2 decades, Lacey Chabert has delighted audiences with her charm, grace, and a kind of classic beauty that's never gone out of style. From her early days as Claudia Salinger on Party of Five to her now iconic status as the queen of Hallmark's holiday movies, Chabert has built a career that's both impressive and deeply relatable. But on May 17th, the Hallmark darling offered fans a look into a far more personal role, one that arguably defines her more than any movie role ever could, being a mom. In a refreshingly down-to-earth Instagram video, Chabert invited fans into her closet as she engaged in a fun, spontaneous game she called Love It or Leave It, Jacket Edition, with her 8-year-old daughter Julia. The video, which quickly garnered adoring comments and hundreds of thousands of views, was a heartwarming reminder of why Chabert resonates so deeply with her audience. It wasn't a red carpet moment, nor a glossy magazine spread. It was simply a mother and daughter sifting through jackets, with Julia making executive decisions about what stays and what goes. "I'm cleaning out my closet with my stylist, my 8-year-old daughter," Chabert captioned the post. But the moment was more than just about fashion. It was about parenting, nostalgia, and those tiny slices of real life that, in the world of filtered perfection, feel like a breath of fresh air. The video begins in true Lacey style, humble, light-hearted, and full of love. Standing in what appeared to be a tidy, light-filled closet, Chabert addressed the camera with a grin. "We're gonna go through my closet, we're gonna try on some things, and the judge of this, who's gonna make any final decisions on what stays and what goes, is Julia, my 8-year-old, she announced. Off-camera, Julia quickly jumped in to correct her mother with the kind of emphasis only a child can deliver. 8.5. Chabert laughed. The mood was set. This wasn't just a closet clean-out, it was an event. The jackets came out one by one, each with its own backstory, emotional weight, or fabulous and sometimes questionable flair. But what made the video so endearing was Julia's unfiltered commentary. There was no sugarcoating, no pretense. Julia was confident in her opinions, and her mom welcomed them with pride and amusement. One of the earliest jackets Chabert modeled in the video was a piece steeped in sentimental value. "Yeah, it was actually 21 years ago, believe it or not," she said as she slipped it on. The jacket had traveled back in time with her, all the way to the early 2000s when she was filming Mean Girls in Toronto, a film that would go on to become a cultural phenomenon. "This is a forever piece," she said, clearly hoping it would pass inspection. Julia, perhaps picking up on the importance of the moment or perhaps genuinely approving, nodded enthusiastically. "Love it," she declared. Chabert looked visibly pleased. It was a mother-daughter bonding moment layered in both pop culture nostalgia and personal meaning. But not every jacket enjoyed the same fate. The next jacket was a gray babydoll-style Burberry piece. Elegant, structured, and expensive, at least originally. As Chabert pulled it on, she turned toward the camera with a sheepish grin. "This is a Burberry jacket that I saved so hard to buy at the time," she said, and then launched into a detailed breakdown of her shopping maneuver. "I waited till it was on sale, on sale, on sale. An extra 25% off that. I used points. I put it on a card. I got it for like $4 in the end." Julia, unimpressed by the financial wizardry, responded dryly, "Or $100, you mean?" The moment was pure comedy gold, a perfect blend of a thrifty mom and a brutally honest daughter. Despite Chabert's passionate argument for keeping the jacket, Julia gave it a confusing but hilarious final verdict: love it and leave it. In other words, it was both great and unnecessary. And this, perhaps more than anything, is what made the video resonate. It wasn't a curated fashion haul or a glossy influencer try-on. It was a peek behind the curtain into a life that, while different in some ways, felt entirely familiar. Next up was a deep purple jacket Chabert had purchased at a sample sale. "It's been sitting in my closet for like 10 years, she admitted. Julia's curiosity was piqued. "What's a sample sale?" she asked. "It's like a garage sale but for different brands," Chabert explained. "Oh," Julia said, clearly visualizing designer racks in someone's driveway. The purple jacket got a resounding "love it, extra, extra, extra" from Julia, even though it made Chabert feel like a peacock. She laughed at the comparison. "Maybe I should just bust it out and wear it on a random Monday," she mused. Another jacket, a brown fur-lined piece, left Julia somewhat perplexed. "It's kind of like too chic for you," she finally said, struggling to find the right words. Chabert chuckled. "Too chic for me?" she asked. "Well, it's good for winter, but it's like you're the queen or something. It's like fancy but not fancy. But, like, you know what I mean," Julia said with hand gestures that tried to fill in the gaps. Lacey interpreted it as too much, and her daughter nodded in agreement. It was another beautiful moment of understanding between generations. Where words failed, affection filled the silence. One of the most memorable reactions came when Chabert modeled a bold floral blazer. Julia's reaction was immediate. "What in the what?" she cried out in horror. "You look like a giant bouquet," she added, laughing uncontrollably. "Like the flowers at the Bellagio in Las Vegas." Chabert herself burst into laughter. The jacket, she admitted, had probably never been a great idea, but she couldn't help but hold on to it. Despite Julia's call to leave it, Chabert gave a dramatic pause and said, "I'm keeping it." That moment, mom choosing style over sense, was something many viewers undoubtedly related to. In contrast, a tailored white blazer met with a much different fate. Julia studied her mom carefully and said, "I love this. It's not too fancy, but it's not too boring. It's like what you would wear to work or when you go to lunch. Practical. Stylish. Office chic." It was clear that, at just 8 years old, Julia already had a finely tuned eye for what works. Her judgments weren't based on trends or labels. They were intuitive and refreshingly honest. And while she stayed off camera, her voice brought the entire video to life. The comment section under the Instagram post quickly became its own community of admiration. "This was so fun. I think Julia's love will leave it needs to be its own show," one fan wrote. Another commented, "I'm crying at the bouquet of flowers at the Bellagio. You definitely found a great stylist. Julia did a great job. Oh, this was adorable. Julia has great taste, tact, and style. She knows what's popping or not," someone else added. And truly, that was the consensus. Fans weren't just entertained, they were moved by the connection between mother and daughter. They saw the love, the trust, and the playfulness, and it reminded them of the small, intimate moments that make families so meaningful. In many ways, the video was more than just a fashion game, it was a love letter to motherhood. It was about passing on stories, about the laughter and lessons that come from simply being present with one another. Each jacket told a chapter in Chabert's life, and by inviting her daughter into the process of choosing what to let go of and what to hold on to, she was doing more than just organizing a closet, she was sharing her history. There was a quiet vulnerability to it all. Some of the jackets were tied to memories of specific projects, others represented aspirations, others still were simply beautiful but impractical. And yet, through it all, Chabert never lost her sense of humor or perspective. It's this balance between Hollywood glamour and relatable warmth that has made Lacey Chabert such a beloved figure in entertainment. Even as she headlines Hallmarks' most-watched premieres and anchors seasonal programming with ease, she never feels out of reach. Her fans love her not just because she's beautiful and talented, but because she's kind, grounded, and willing to show the unfiltered bits of life. And Julia? Well, she just might be a star in her own right someday. But for now, she's the stylish, witty, and completely lovable co-host of the most adorable fashion show Instagram has ever seen. It was another beautiful moment of understanding between generations. Where words failed, affection filled the silence. One of the most memorable reactions came when Chabert modeled a bold floral blazer. Julia's reaction was immediate. "What in the what?" she cried out in horror. "You look like a giant bouquet," she added, laughing uncontrollably. "Like the flowers at the Bellagio in Las Vegas." Chabert herself burst into laughter. The jacket, she admitted, had probably never been a great idea, but she couldn't help but hold on to it. Despite Julia's call to leave it, Chabert gave a dramatic pause and said, "I'm keeping it." That moment, mom choosing style over sense, was something many viewers undoubtedly related to.